afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter, and the boys are in the house. Thomas Aarons from Fishing the DMV. For you guys who are watching YouTube, which I hope you all are, and my boy Basky to my left. What's happening, man? Welcome back. For you guys who didn't make it to the Raleigh show, we were all down there at different times, but all got the wonderful opportunity to experience the Raleigh show. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about tonight is the show and our thoughts and opinions. But before we dive into that, guys, the top, I don't know if we kind of call it top 25 list anymore. I just said, I can't remember, best anglers in Virginia list or something like that. Had a great year. The list is out now. We'd love to get your thoughts and opinions. It's just a list that I always get somebody from a Basscast member who follows the website. And actually, we had 2 meetings about the list. He put the initial list together, and then we kind of worked on it as a team together to finish it. And the list is out. So I would tell you guys, we all know Chris Brummett is at the very top. He had one of the best freaking years of 2025. Angler of the Year in 2 different divisions, the Shenandoah and the Piedmont, on top of other events that he won. So congratulations to him. The list is not in any order. It's just, we just throw it up on there and let it stick. And you guys voice your opinions. Guys, I remember when I first made this list. I think the first 2 years I made this list, I had other people make their own list and post it underneath my list. So, I mean, it's just something fun we do. It's nothing crazy. I mean, it's like Thomas's Lakes. We're just something. We get people's ideas and thoughts. It makes you start thinking about fishing. And, I mean, the lake thing that Thomas did was freaking awesome. I mean, it made you really think about, does my lake really suck? Does my, go ahead, Geek.
Well, I think me and Thomas got a bone to pick with you because I know we didn't see our name on there anywhere.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Believe it or not, when I'm unshackled from this desk or where I was at the Raleigh show, I do fish every now and then.
I do too. But I would understand. It's not a list of best looking anglers in Virginia. Me and Thomas would be 1 and 2. I mean,
exactly.
That'd be a coin flip.
But it was, like I said, it was a great list. A lot of great anglers on it. So please head on over and check it out. And like I said, voice your opinion. I mean, it's just something to kind of get everything stirred up at the beginning of the year, get you guys all really excited about fishing. And what a year these Virginia anglers have had. I had to I used to put top 25 anglers in Virginia, and Facebook blocked me.
Wow.
Because I guess you're not allowed to single people out that didn't get a ribbon or a plaque or a trophy or something.
Everybody gets a trophy, people. Everybody gets a trophy. It's why we have school pew-pews, is because no one learned how to be a loser.
Also, guys, the schedules are still going up. I ain't gonna lie, I haven't had a chance to really check it out because I've been extremely busy because we've already started tournament fishing. So it's been a lot of great content, a lot of good stuff going up on the website. We were talking about something earlier, and I listened to a Block It video the other day, and it got thrown to me real quick. But I wrote a story called The Disappearing Connection Between Pros and Fans, a Bass Fishing Perspective. And if you haven't had a chance to go read it, I know I talked to Fat Cat at the Raleigh show, and
good old Fat Cat. I talked to him too. Good dude.
And he wanted to know, he asked about it. He saw it. He said, I'll read it when I get home. I said, yeah. And, we know what Randy's opinion is, and I know what mine is. And mine, was not really, I don't think it's forward-facing sonar. I don't blame nothing on technology at all. I mean,
you said the B word, which triggered me. I think it's the disappearance of the connection between the elderly and pop culture right now. I think it's what it is. It just I saw this cool meme of, I think it was a Simpson on the newspaper of old man yelling at cloud, Well, just replace that with Randy Blockett. That's what it is, or anybody like that that doesn't understand what's going on right now. But it gets clicks. It does, and
It does.
he's in a death spiral though. I think with his channel because people that like him only want him to say one thing, which means he has to keep doing the thing. So
I hate facing so hard.
Yeah.
Well, there's such a difference between the young anglers. So I'm not going to say what company I was talking to today, but I was talking to a company today, and they just come out with a unique ball head, And he was at a show just this past weekend, and he said a young kid come up to him and said, "Hey, do you make them? What sizes do you make them in?" And I think he makes them up to, not very big, like maybe a quarter, maybe a 3/8. And he says, "Why? What size would you like to have them in?" He said, a half ounce, a 3/4 ounce, and an ounce, and maybe even a little bit bigger. And he goes, "Well," he goes, "I can do that." He goes, "What are you?" He goes, "That's pretty big sizes, though." And he said, the odd thing, that's Thomas is going multi-angle.
What the heck just happened?
I don't know, Thomas. Go ahead.
But what's funny about that is the reply that kid gave is, "Well, you're not under 23, so you don't know."
Wow.
And, look, it goes back. That, to me, reinforces, the conversation we had with the last young angler, what we've been saying. Look, these kids have created a network. It's what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Me and you, Brian, with, oh my gosh, I forgot his name, but the guy who, the college coach.
Oh, yeah. From Bethel University.
Bethel, yeah. Yes. I went brain dead. Sorry, brain fart there. But, these kids are traveling around. They're already used to travel, and Thomas, you're great point of this because you were and were one of the college anglers. Those kids are talking to each other. Yep. They're traveling to fish with each other. They're fishing different waters. Mm-hmm. They're creating a network that us older anglers don't have, and they're teaching each other. And that's always been the problem with all these clubs and everything, to me, is that, and I've seen it through the 90s, one of the biggest reasons why a lot of the clubs, what did they do? What killed the clubs? The clubs went from draws to teams. Mm-hmm. They killed the co-angler before the forward-facing sonar ever got there. Because why? They don't want to share. Mm-hmm. They want to keep donators donating, and they want to keep paying their boat payment. Mm-hmm. And so you get these cliques in local tournaments that, let's face it, people don't learn. They're not getting better. And I know where I'm at. There's a few people that like to fish the BFLs, but it's very small compared to the team tournament. I don't even know if there's a draw tournament club left.
I don't really think so.
There is one dude up on Smith Mountain Lake. There's a club up there on Smith Mountain Lake, and they do catch, weigh, and release, and it's a draw event. You don't know. You show up, you don't know who you're going to be paired with.
And you think about it. There's no Mike Iaconelli without a draw club. Yeah, there's no Mike Iaconelli without a draw club.
Even Bass Nation years ago was a draw. You didn't know who you were going to get, and then they started complaining because they want to fish with their buddy, because then their buddy can work off each other's strengths. And I think, I'm not sure how many years back that was, but then Bass Nation switched over to where you can fish as a team, just like you fish with your buddy. It's no more of a draw, like you're saying. So I mean, you're right. The draw has pretty much ended, and we're going away further from the draw with individual angler tournaments. That I think this year, I don't know how many Cat's going to do this year in the ABA, which is the worst freaking website in the whole effing world. that and fishing. that and Fishers of Men, you're still looking for the fish on both of them. Let's just say that much. I mean, you can't find shit, but that's beside the point. Yeah, guys, we have Bethel University's godfather of college fishing, Mr. Gary Mason, on last week. And sorry you had to miss it, Thomas. Thomas was rolling down the road. Really, it was a really good show because he really did take us back into where it really all began for Bethel University. And he's the only coach Bethel's ever had.
Because I remember Bethel University back when I was competitive. Back when there's this other school called Adrian University in the middle of nowhere up north that was absolutely deadly. Still love all those guys. I'm friends with still the OG members of that team. But I had a 7-hour drive to get to Raleigh the other week, which was that was a blessing. So I cannot wait for Richmond this week, where it's like half the distance to go.
Hey guys, Thomas sent me a photo, or we're in a group text with sent a photo of his ass stuck in traffic. So I mean, it was like
95 is the worst road. I would put that up against any miserable road in the United States.
Yes, I agree. 95 is the worst.
So guys, check out the story. Check out last week's podcast. Your opinions matter here at thebasscast.com. I actually had someone that reached out to me about a boat story, everybody. And I hit up a Bassmaster Elite angler yesterday, and he's got his boat up for sale. So I thought it'd be a perfect time to talk about it. So we're going to put together probably in the next week a story about what we've been talking about. So much is the economics of the boat, but it was pretty cool too. But it was also good to get to hear the other side of why and how, why they buy a boat every year, and what makes them buy the boat every year. So that will be up on the basscast.com soon. Thomas, what's happening in your world? Let's dive into there first. I know last week you were at the show, but what do you got? What else do you have dropping for us?
So last week I was chained to a desk and I gave over 18 hours. That is right. I calculated on YouTube 18 hours of live content. I think I got through 68% of all of the booths there at the expo came by my booth to be interviewed. Yeah, I'm going to talk to management about giving me a few more breaks and to eat and walk. That was insane. They, for some reason, wanted to get to 20. I don't know why. We're not in China. We have rights here. But it was all fun and games. It was a great expo. I had a day and a half to rest, and I'm packing up the car again to go to Richmond. So I'm really excited about that. Plus, we have a couple of episodes dropping. We also have, I can start sneaking this out there. I had a deal with the Department of Wildlife Resources of Virginia where every biologist in every region is coming on with their fish catch reports. And I think we only have 3 more I have to pre-record, and then that will be dropping later this spring.
That's awesome. We're definitely, guys, make sure you tune in and watch that. For you guys who really care about your bodies of water instead of winning money, if your fish disappear, it doesn't matter how much damn money you think you're gonna win. I mean, if there's nothing left to catch, so check out. Like I said, that's gonna be real. You did another history thing on Kerr Lake or something one time, and that was pretty freaking awesome too. So Thomas does a great job with those, as he does with all the rest of the shows. But yeah, 18 hours of video. Less than them got their money's worth out of your ass. I can tell you that much, Dave. Are you going to break it all up, or are you just going to keep it one big chunk?
I have
because
not.
You have to take a week to break it all up.
Yeah, I have not gotten there because by the time, if I wanted to edit, by the time I start editing, I have to pack everything up to head out again. So after the 2 weeks, I'll figure it out of how I want to break everything down. Because you're right. It's a lot. It's a lot, but it's up there now if you want to watch the raw, unedited version. And eventually I'll start chopping things up into bite-sized things so everyone can view.
Guys, if you really don't know, I mean, Geek does it every time he goes out. So for your Geek show, how many hours do you actually record before Mike breaks it all down? I mean, people don't understand this part. The recording part, besides killing yourself like Thomas did, is not that bad. It's the part after that when you're breaking all this stuff down into a 15-minute clip, a 30-minute clip.
Well, I mean, we did the whole travel part of the vlog, before you get to the show. We did, we got there Friday. walked the show to kind of try and get an idea. And then, I mean, we got there, we started recording before we even walked in the door. So, I mean, I don't know how many hours it would have been, but I know, I think finally I made it to Thomas and actually sat down and was done. I think we got there. What time the doors open? 10 o'clock that day, Thomas, or was it 9?
Yeah, it was like 9 or 10 on Friday.
Yeah,
and so we got there right as the doors open, and I think I finally come back there and sat down for a minute when probably about 2 o'clock. I was just waiting on one more guy to be able to talk to that I wanted to see. So now we didn't film that entire time, but while I was meeting and greeting, Mike was filming B-roll. So there's a lot of hours.
There's going to be a lot of content in the weeks ahead. I actually recorded 3 videos and I've uploaded 1 because I'm slammed. I'm not gonna lie. It's tournament fishing time already. Press releases are dropping. The college kids I think they kick off this weekend. The Bassmaster college kids do already, or next week. Might be next week. But it's freaking busy around here. But we're gonna like I said, 2 more expo weekends, and then we're all gonna sit down and get caught up. And I think we have the month of February. I have one little small show I'm going to in February, and then March the 8th, the basscast.com has its first event of the 2025 season. Smith Mountain Lake at the state park, if I can get all them damn permits turned in. Because I love paperwork. But that's beside the point. So we'll have everything up on the website. Danielle is finishing up some finals things that we're kind of updating this year. The forms and everything you're going to need to fill out are going to be updated. Payment is going to be updated. So it's going to be a lot of stuff on the website. So please pay attention. We'll have it in the newsletter. I might even make a separate post in the newsletter to our followers, because I know a lot of you guys kind of like the quick little blurb of information. And that way you don't have to kind of go look for it. But I mean, there's one logo. It tells you 2025 Basscast schedule. Everything you need to know is under that logo. But guys, I thought we're just shooting from a hip and talking tonight. And we thought we'd kind of discuss the Raleigh Fishing Expo as a whole. I've been to it the last 3 years. I've got a friend of mine who loves saltwater, and I love saltwater as well. It's how I grew up fishing. I mean, my dad, my grandfather. If it wasn't for my uncle's farm pond, I probably would have never been to one until I was like a teenager when we moved. But I've been on every type of deep sea boat you can think of. I mean, I've been out catching blues. I've done it all. I love it. But I thought we'd start with Thomas first, because Thomas this was his first trip to the Raleigh Fishing Expo. And I mean, I know you were kind of, doing your job, and I know you probably had a little bit of time to walk around and get the experience of the whole thing. But was there a kind of something like a takeaway for you? Because you did do Richmond last year, and then go ahead.
Yeah, I've done Richmond. This will be year 3 of me having a booth at Richmond. First time ever going to the Raleigh Expo. So the biggest takeaway, I'm going to say, away from the booths and what was being sold, was the culture, because I did get to talk to 1 or 2 people. And it's interesting how North Carolina feels, the people there, that they're not heard in the bass fishing community, because they're sandwiched between South Carolina, name every lake bass goes to, and then Virginia with the James and everything. And it was interesting that they feel like they have a story to tell when it comes to fishing, whether it's bass or saltwater. And they just feel like the stepchild. And I thought that was really interesting, because they do have a lot of lakes because bass or FLW now, the BPT and MLF don't go there consistently. It kind of makes them feel a little shunned. And part of it is some of the lakes aren't big enough to hold it all. And that was interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a great opinion. That's great, because I really do believe you're right. I know me and Geek went down to Red Crest 2 years ago, and it was down in North Carolina. But I mean, you're right though. I mean, it doesn't really. You kind of don't hear much about it. You don't hear much about the lakes, the bodies of water, unless you're vacationing down there or something of that nature. It's not. I can't wait to go to North Carolina to fish a bass tournament. And you wonder if it's the spotted bass that are in, that has to do with a lot of it, if you ask me, but go ahead.
My hypothesis is this. It comes down to the whole system and how it's structured of wherever the pros go to lakes, wherever the big events are, those become the mecca. Period. End of story. The reason the Susquehanna River is big in kayak fishing is because they went there and put it on the map.
Right.
The reason the St. Lawrence River is big is because people go there, they put that on the map. And we could go down the list. And because there's never been a cultural presence at the big events, it doesn't put it on the map. But I had so many people go up to me and talk to me like, but look at how many professional anglers come from North Carolina.
Oh yeah,
like there's a ton of there. The idea of jig skipping under docks. A lot of people proudly said like that's where it originated. Was from North Carolina, which is interesting to me.
Yeah.
So it is weird though. If you agree with their opinion that like there's a majority of professional anglers that come there, that a lot of techniques originated there. It's interesting. It comes from a state that doesn't have a lake that is in the regular rotation for the professional tours,
which really surprises me that Norman's not in that.
Yeah,
that because Norman is a huge lake.
Yeah,
now, it is a dock skipping. Almost anybody you talk, if that's their own lake, that is a dock skipping dream lake. The other lakes which right around Raleigh are incredible lakes. Falls, Jordan. What's the third? I never can remember.
Harris.
Yeah, Harris. I mean, but now they're not very big.
Right.
But realistically, yeah, and I mean they've held the heavy hitters there at least twice that I know of.
Yep.
So, and those are some lakes that I for sure like. I want to go fish. They produce large bass on the.
And then you have Mayo and Hyco, and then you have the tidal fisheries too, and then of course High Rock, but people are kind of like meh on High Rock, like it's like kind of like it's overhyped, so to speak. But there's like so many options there, and then you have Appalachia. Like I got to talk to some guys that just literally specifically fish Appalachian rivers and lakes for smallmouth and trout, and it's like I didn't know that was a thing.
North Carolina has some very big, clear water reservoirs with some big trout eaters, that sort of stuff. Well known, I guess well kept secret glide bait fisheries. So
never knew that before. Like again, it's crazy because again, you don't read about it in magazines, so it's so crazy in 2025. Things can still be unknown. There can still be secret honey holes, which is fascinating.
Which is one of the things I want to ruin once I get to do this full time. I want to be the most hated man on YouTube when I go to all those lakes that we just mentioned that nobody ever fishes. Show everybody where the spots are.
And I think it blows my mind because half my family is from what I call Appalachia, which is West Virginia. And I've always considered that just Appalachia in the mountains, but that's like completely false. There's so much more that runs south that I know absolutely nothing about when it comes to fishing and stuff. Because I really thought Virginia up is smallmouth river waters. And I was reminded that that's not true this past weekend, which is interesting.
So, it's, there's another great tidal fishery down around Myrtle Beach down there.
That's wrong.
I'm sorry, not Myrtle Beach, but up near the what is it called? What is that beach called? For some reason, my brain wanted to say it just went on Myrtle Beach, but there's a great little tidal fishery and some river fisheries out that way. And I want to say that maybe one point in time there was some sort of pro tournament held on one of them. But anyway, there's some really good fisheries out there. And listen, Jordan is an incredible fishery. I mean,
Albanero Sound is the name of it. And it is the guys, I apologize because apparently reading is not what I'm good at. Chawan.
I think that's it.
Chawan, I think. Yeah.
River.
And I think that's where bass is going in 2025, if I'm not mistaken. So
I was down there last year for a Major League Fishing event.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
That's where
I went down there last year. And It's a beautiful, quaint little town. That's how you say it. It looks like Mayberry down there, to be honest, with the river. So I mean,
And I've had so many locals on the show that I over time I'm sneaking in what they think, and they said like there probably will be an 8 to 10 pounder caught, at least one at that event. He said
oh wow,
there is a 35 to 40 pound bag there,
Wow.
which is incredible. I had the biologist that runs a lot of the tidal fisheries in Virginia on a week ago in the pre-recorded episode, and they talked about like they're stunned because they always thought you could not grow tidal fish this big, and they said it just happened in the last 10 years where you're seeing these mega bags, and they still are like, we don't know what happened or changed, but it's through all of the saltwater estuaries you're seeing these mega sized largemouth on the East Coast, which is awesome.
Wow.
all right, let's roll on to you, Geek. What was your kind of little takeaway from the Raleigh show?
It was a good little show. I found some really cool things. Got to hang out with some people that I've got to hang out with. I think this is my 5th time, maybe more, at that show.
Okay.
I hadn't been since before COVID, and then we went last year, with Camus, and we went this year just on our own. I mean, it's a good show, man. It was a good turnout this year, even due to the weather. Really found some cool little things. Spent too much money there. I think what kind of surprised me was that I got a lot of questions about doing YouTube this year, which kind of surprised me. From guys that were doing it. And
that's cool.
So,
why did it surprise you?
Well, most of the time it's just fishing questions, and I guess it's there. We've talked about it. There's definitely an uptick in people posting YouTube fishing channels and fishing videos. So it was interesting, to get people. To get people who, we had one guy, he had this big, immaculate, nice setup, and here me and Mike are running around with a Rode boom mic and a.
Oh yeah, you talking about that young boy?
I mean, we run dirty, man. We keep it light and fast. So
my thing is that I think my cell phone weighs more than my camera, and it's a nice camera if you ask me. And my microphone, I think I got maybe like $1,200 in the whole thing. And that young guy, I remember seeing him. He probably had $2,000 or $4,000 in that thing. And I'm like,
yeah, man.
Come on, people. We're not filming. We're not filming movies here, all right? We're filming 3-minute clips.
I mean, I get it. Listen, there are shots that I can't get with an iPhone because of 3 lenses instead of 1, and so the zoom jerks and changes lenses, and you can't get certain cinematic, blurred background that you necessarily want in a situation. But and then eventually we're gonna upgrade that. But there's a lot of ins and outs of YouTube, and that's one of the things that I've said that I want to do eventually too when I have more time, is do some coaching on 4 outdoors channels to kind of help that. But I figure I'll wait till I at least got the plaque so I can go, I got a plaque. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's this idea that quantity is a qualitative part of itself. It's like people think it's like, well, I need quality, I need that shot. And it's like, but if you do that one time, it doesn't matter. Like unless you're a contractor for a company that just wants that one shot on YouTube, you got to pump that shit out, man. Like it's there. There's a reason I'm chained to a desk. I mean, there's a reason Geek has somebody chained to his closet. Like you just need to crank stuff out. Yeah. And there's this balance of, do I need it to be Hollywood level? Because at some point, that's just for the snobs, in my personal opinion. It's just for 5 people that are kind of hoity-toity. But, dude, when you're cranking this stuff out to be watched on a cell phone, it doesn't necessarily always have to be at that level.
Yeah, I agree with that, Thomas. I mean, I was reading something the other day, and a guy said, he was talking about content. And, you put out content, and he said, if you get 2 or 3 bangers a month, then you're doing pretty daggone good. What I mean is your content stays steady, and then you have 2 or 3 that kind of go off the chain and then come back down, and then you're steady. then you've had a pretty daggone good month.
Yeah, and we've been pretty lucky, like I say, I mean, shout out to my buddy Mike. Without him, we're not where we are. But starting to push out those 3 videos since, July of last year. And that's really what it is. You got to be consistent. There are videos that I feel like I hit everything perfectly, timing, and I mean, I use a ton of different analytics tools and all this stuff, and you put it out and it doesn't do well. And then you throw out one and you're in a rush and you kind of half-ass it, and it doubles, what your average is, or it does 20 or 30,000, and you're like, okay. But it's like I always say, in the end, YouTube is like, seeing if the spaghetti's ready. Throw 2 or 3 noodles against the wall.
Yeah.
You hope 1 or 2 sticks,
right? And that's 100% true. And that's why we all put out as much content as we actually put out. And even even if it's just press releases like I release, and then me and Bruce both write stories for the website, and then the video content that we get, you don't want to overload it, but at the same time, you kind of want to spread it out, and you hoping that within it, you get that 1 banger, 2 bangers right there in that month where it kind of, pays the bills. But I know earlier we were talking about some different baits and all that you guys got to see at the show, and got to swing by a few booths, Thomas. But Geek saw one that he really liked, and I've actually had the opportunity to work with them myself. And they actually just got a freaking website, I think late last year. I mean, they were just selling this stuff by the shows.
Yeah.
And that was the Nasty.
Yeah, I hate that you're going to make me talk about this right now, especially the one that
you ain't got to don't give the juice.
They're going to be kind of keep it secret right now. So if you guys haven't seen it, we will. That video is coming out Sunday, and we do an interview with him. We show him everything. But there is one particular bait that I think is going to shine this summer. And there's a technique. It's a Japanese technique called the shad or shadding or something like that. It's something, and it's basically taking very small baits, and they look like hard plastic shad wraps. So very thin bill, very tight wiggle, and you just slowly sweep your rod to the side. Now they'll weight them, so kind of Carolina rig. That most of them are made to suspend, but if you need to get them down deeper, you can weight them and move them a little faster as they get down a little bit deeper. But what I like is that Nasty Baits. I don't even know the name.
Yeah,
technically of the company.
I've shot 3 videos with them trying to help
get
the ball rolling.
They came out with this little 2-3 inch version of a bait that stands on end, but it sinks, so you can twitch it. But it's just a good small bait profile. It'll be something that I think is going to be really good to use with forward-facing sonar. I think that's going to be. I think that could be a big player, just the way it stands on its end and sinks, twitch as well. Be good in shallow water. Then they come out with a stand-on end square bill, which has a little slower sink, so you can really work it across some brush cover. I think that's going to be real good in a lot of those areas like North Carolina, like South Carolina. I think that's a big player up your all's way, up there in those shallower fisheries. So,
Thomas, anything that you stood out to you that you were able to visit a few of the booths?
A lot of custom rods. I think that's something that's going to be kicking up more and more. Is going with custom rods. It's really that's the best way to level up your game and really get it specifically to your taste. BFS is going to be catching on. I think a lot. Again, if you're up in my smallmouth country, I think when we do this show again next week, it'll be fun to compare and contrast because you have a blend up in Virginia of river, shallow, smallmouth country and lakes and tidal stuff. So that'd be interesting. I I keep mentioning it. Drop Zone came out with something really, really interesting that he hasn't debuted, which is it is for the old minnow, but it has a rattle in it. And it's a very simplistic idea, but I don't think anyone else has done it yet. That would probably be the one that I would say. There was a really cool skipping jig too that I saw, but I don't think he was ready to debut that quite yet. That I thought was interesting. But yeah, like a lot of cool little local, and that's the thing with these shows is it might not be something that catches on at the national scene, but if you're going to go to a falls like a Jordan, something like that in your local backyard, this is what's awesome is you're going to get those custom skirt colors. You're going to get those custom design glide baits. Buka had some really cool colors that were only available at the show too. So really interesting custom things to really hone in on your local body of water.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, speaking of Buka, so I picked up two basically $200 9-inch glide baits. And, so he's got a really good, what I call traditionally a wide glide he calls it the V joint series. And then I believe that is the, what's he called? The trick shad, which is the V-wake. Now, that's one thing. I'm going to give you guys a tip out there. Understand, there's really two types when it comes to glide bait action. Okay, glide bait, single joint baits, glide bait, traditionally. The trick shad is a tight, I call it a chop bait. It's a very stay in place. It's great around docks, covers, that sort of stuff. It's not going to have a huge wide glide. The less the bait bends, the wider the glide. So those baits are better around large flats, large grass flats, because they're going to come really wide glide, a nice slow covering a large area. That's what those baits are. So that's something you want to pay attention to, is what you're fishing your glides around as to what kind. Now your multi-joints, fish them fast, fish them in the spring. That's when they shine.
Boom. So I got to hang out with the boys from True South Custom Lures, and they were kind enough to drop us a care package last year. So we kind of did some talking about 2025. And I got this from a couple other boos as well. They're going to be turning back the clock, doing some of the older moles and some of the older baits.
Nice.
And that I think that's kind of starting to make a little bit of a comeback because, like some of these baits have been sitting on the shelf so long, and we've used, I'm saying, everything goes through a cycle. I mean, it's just like clothes, hairdos, you know what I'm saying, records, you name the whole damn list. But True South is going to come out with something really freaking cool this year. They're working on that. And I talked to another bait company, and he had found some old molds. And he pretty much had told me they probably won't have any in Richmond, even though they're going to be there in Richmond because they've already sold out. And if I remember correctly, it was a Booyah. Booyah's gone in it. Not Booyah, but who's the one that's gone that's make crankbaits? The one out last year is gone. But it didn't matter. But he found a bunch of old molds left behind, and he painted them up and put them together and sold out of them in no freaking time.
Wow.
So, yeah, so a lot of people are starting to look for these old, just something different, because, the decades have already passed for a lot of this stuff. And we also, Hank Parker last year, he kind of started making his, what was that, a spinner bait or something that Hank Parker got his name on?
Yeah, that he used to make years ago. Yep. Yes.
So he came back out with that last year. So, I mean, a lot of people are kind of turning back the clock and not really reinventing the wheel, but maybe touching up some things from the past to bring it to the future. So I thought that was really freaking cool from the show. Like Geek said, the attendance I thought was pretty daggone good.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I mean, come on, guys. I want to say something. I want to say it. Fuck it. You are at a show, and this show, I mean, I don't care if you're a brand new company or an old company, You are promoting what you have worked your ass off on all winter. Stand up, smile, have a great appearance.
Yeah.
And the crowd's going to be what the crowd's going to be. But you're hoping you leave. We talked about this earlier. There's so many different plastics out there. Everybody's making the same thing. You're going to have to put a different spin on this, whether, I mean, I don't know, just think of something different for you as a booth. But I mean, if you ask me, I mean, I understand you're at a booth and you want to make money. But what you're really concentrating on is you're concentrating on them internet sales for the other 12 months out of the year. And 95% of the men are not women. They're not going to go on the internet unless it's something they really want or they've already had when they go to Discount Tackle, everybody, or Tackle Warehouse like Geek, and pick it up and buy it. So, I mean, this is their time when they taste, smell, and feel. And you need to be like having people walk around with the baits in your hands, showing them off. Hey, check this out, smell it. Even if they don't buy it, throw them a sticker. A sticker's like 10 cents, 15 cents. I mean, unless you get the really expensive ones like I get, because I put the QR code on it so you find the show. But I mean, come on, people. It's 3 days. And it's 3 days for your next 9 months, 10 months, whatever the hell it is. Get your shit together.
Yeah, and we've said it a lot of times, not saying that there was any bad products there, but the truth of the matter of the fact is, I kind of break down a lot of products into, 3 categories, truthfully. I mean, you've got plastic baits, you've got wire baits companies. You got those soft plastic bait companies, and you've got the wire bait companies, which are, your companies that sell jigs and spinner baits and, their version of a chatterbait or whatever. And then you've got hard bait companies. Now, hard bait companies generally, crankbaits, jerk baits, that sort of stuff. They're harder to find at a small level. But there are a ton of soft plastic companies and a ton, in every region, in every area, there are a ton of wire bait companies. And a lot of that stuff, I mean, there's just not a lot of diversity in that stuff. And, so the thing of it is you need to be personable. You need to be customizable. You need to be a good salesman when you're in your booth. So, which pretty much everybody I stopped by were, they were good people, talked to people, even gave a bait idea away to a couple of guys, I mean, hey, if they can make some money off of it, and, hey, help me out too, by tossing me 2 or 3 of them. So,
yeah,
I think
I will say this, it was kind of nice. I hate to say it, seeing, I mean, everybody kind of flooded the market a couple of years ago with all these rods. And it was kind of nice that that's kind of settled down a little bit.
Yeah.
We only saw one battery company, and I don't know if it's really a battery company there. And I know a couple of years ago at least at the Classic, I know 10 booths were selling different batteries. So it's kind of, I mean, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on that part, but it is kind of good to kind of see the markets kind of leveling out a little bit. And the good ones are going to be the one, are going to be there for a long time until they get bought up by someone else. But it was kind of good to see that kind of level playing field on that side of the industry itself.
Now, I do want to bring up somebody that was missing, who every time I've been to the Raleigh show has been there.
Who?
And that is Profound Outdoors, Timmy Horton's company.
Yeah, that was the first time they have not been there.
So
he was on a hunting excursion, because I saw that Instagram post.
Well, is it, we kind of talked about this a little bit off camera. And I didn't really talk to any of the custom rod builders, but I've talked to several companies that I work with as far as rod companies, and those spinner broads, man, they're getting sold left and right. Spinner reels, but them casting rods ain't flying off the shelf like they used to be.
Mm-mm.
And so neither, and what I've heard is neither are a lot of the hard baits. So I wonder if maybe that's something to do with it.
Also, the fact that he's more of a national brand too, because
He is.
and I think this is the big separation. We've talked about this: a local regional show versus a national show. Where
Yeah.
if you're in North Carolina as the North Carolina crankbait booth, you're going to be fine. You're perfectly fine. You are in your niche, baby. But yeah, if you're trying to sell that nationally, that's going to be a lot harder of a sell. And so it is interesting to see how these bigger companies. John is coming to Richmond. He hasn't been at Richmond, I think, the last 2 years with a booth, if I'm not mistaken, or at least I didn't see him when he was down there. So, yeah, it is interesting to see how everyone is picking which shows to go to. Somebody's trying to convince me to come down to this little show in Tennessee because apparently it's a big deal.
It's a big show. It's a big show.
Would that be considered regional or more of a national pull? You know, like I feel like that's a hybrid.
I would say it's a regional because you're gonna find a crap load of crankbait there. You're gonna find a crap load of jigs. A lot of hand painted crankbaits. I mean, you're gonna see some very unique things there. There's a couple different booths that, good God, they got some damn good deals, especially the ones right there when you walk in the door.
Yeah,
a couple great deals there. As always, and then just a bunch of great products spread throughout. I mean,
it's huge. But I mean, I've met people from Ohio, Indiana, Georgia, Alabama. So I mean, it's
4 days of fish porn,
wall to wall,
wall to wall.
Wear shorts every day. I don't care if it's 0, degree outside. It will get hot and sweaty. It gets hot in here. Don't take off all your clothes though when you're there. It's you will be arrested.
The other show, this is awful. I really want to go to the Susquehanna show because apparently it's like 7 days, 14 days, something crazy like that.
Wow.
Just to experience it, but it's like Pennsylvania's biggest show. I had a couple of people come up to me.
I've got many people who go up there and I would love to go, but this thing is like it's like a 7-day show.
Yeah.
And it's got a room for each. It's got one room dedicated to hunting trips, one room dedicated to fishing trips, all types of fishing.
So it's an
automakers there.
So it's an outdoors show.
Yes, it's outdoors. Car makers are there, Forerunners, Tundras, you name it. I mean, it's everything in this thing.
That may be one we just load up and go to, maybe for 2-3 days. Just all of us.
That'd be fun.
That would be cool.
Room and
I love that.
Just to go see and just film some content.
Yeah, I'd be down for that.
We all crash and split the cost and do it. But that show's pretty awesome. I know a lot of guys are going south. I think there's a big one up towards Chicago. A lot of people are going to.
That's what Biz told me. I've never heard of it.
It goes up there every year. So, I mean, there's plenty. I did hear, it was crazy. When I wrote the story of Makes a Good Expo, a guy commented on there. And that was pretty unique about this comment. He lives from Texas. And we've discussed this in the past. My top number after Virginia, it's North Carolina and then Texas. And North Carolina and Texas go back and forth on the top viewers to the basscast.com. Thank you guys from Texas. But you kind of wonder why they don't really have the expo pull that, we have up here locally that we have. Hell, they're sitting on top of each other. I mean, one had to cancel because it was on top of each other.
That's interesting.
I don't know. Of course, I mean, I'll be the first to tell you, I don't know that they don't have.
I don't know either.
Expos down there, but if you go to my analytics, every month since I've ever done this, Texas. The number one views or the most viewed, per state is Texas.
Yeah. So, thank you. Shout out to Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, no shock
it's crazy. So we got like Thomas was saying earlier, we have the Richmond show. It's at my home stomping grounds. It's where all my peeps will be, and we're all going to
6-hour drive for me.
2 hours exactly from the house. I'm kind of looking forward to that. But so we're all going to be there, and then get to hang out with everyone. By the time we upload this will be done. It should be a great show. But we brought up one thing earlier about the different booths that are simply, for that one area only. And, we're going to see the same thing in Richmond. I mean, the Bass Nation of Virginia will be there, I know, as always. And a lot of the local clubs will be setting up there. And that's one thing we didn't really see in Raleigh. I mean, we saw a high school. We saw the Bass Nation of Virginia High School Club there. But that was it. And then Thomas's big gripe, which we know is true, we didn't see any kayaks there. I mean, you're talking about all these small bodies of water to fish. I mean, Bixby should have been there. A couple kayak companies should have been there. I mean, in the past, I've seen some kayaks and stuff. But I just, you guys missed a great opportunity, Raleigh. Like I said, a lot of small bodies of water, and you probably could have sold a crap load of kayaks because, some of these are trolling motor only water. So, I mean...
And you had a kayak club with a booth there.
Yeah.
A kayak club with a booth there talking about all the electric motor only lakes there was, which was fascinating. That wasn't there. The casting kids, like the Federation, that didn't have a presence. Like, if you guys don't know, the only reason I got into fishing was because of casting kids. It was at the Dulles Expo Center. They had it, and I got to go to states. I came in second place in states in casting kids, and that's how I figured out about high school fishing and way lead on the way. But it's because of the Bass Federation, the casting kids. Does North Carolina not have that? Because in Virginia, that's a big deal to bring kids into the sport.
A big thing. Yeah, and it's not the Bass Nation of Virginia running it, but it is another club that runs the
Federation.
The little.
Right?
No, it's not the Federation. It's I don't know why I can't think which organization is. Come to me, but at least But it's a big club turnout in Virginia. I mean, it really is. Where we didn't see that in Raleigh. So I mean, it's you kind of wonder, is Cat really the only tournament series in Raleigh, North Carolina? I mean, does he own the market? I mean, I guess he does from what I saw.
I'd say so.
You would think if you really wanted club members, you would show up at a show or something. I mean, bring a T-shirt or some crap to sell. And
well, if they may not, Cat may own it so well he doesn't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not talking about Cat. I'm just talking about other clubs. I mean, I know he doesn't have to worry about it. I mean, hell, he's got Virginia and North Carolina.
Now, I was there when I was down there last year. There was a 10-boat electric motor club that was down there, and so I was surprised not to see them down there.
Yeah,
I'm looking for them because I've got a good friend that actually is involved in
it. And that's the thing too with just my audience and stuff. The Norfolk area, like there are I think 3 or 4 major electric motor only clubs in Virginia, the North Carolina area. It's a growing trend because there are so many lakes in again, North Carolina and Virginia that have motor restrictions.
And Bruce is a member of one of those clubs. We got Bruce Callis who writes for us, guys. He's a member of one of those electric motor clubs down in because he's out towards the coast. And like I said, I know 3 of them. It's a lady that runs one of them. And but
ROC, I think it is. Something like that. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yep. So I mean, there's I just was kind of surprised we didn't have that presence at the Raleigh Fishing Expo. But other than that, I mean, like I said, it was a great show, a lot of great products. Still looking for some really unique stuff. I mean, it's one of those things where we're still looking. We've been doing this for so freaking long, and you're going to have some real good marketing for us to wow, that's pretty freaking awesome. Beside your bait sitting in a damn tank, and you tell me it wiggles. And
there's definitely some stuff there. There's 3-4 unique takes on baits. Like I said, Faithful. They've got that jig that we had on the show last year. There was the whole everything by Nasty is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was 2-3 other things.
We're talking about a faithful tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen that done. You know, his lure there where he's got a little piece of plastic in between. Looks like a little jig head.
Yeah.
But that's pretty cool. And you know, he had that last year. But we're really getting into an economy now where you're going to have to really innovate, and you're going to have to come up with something different. Guys, there was a guy here. I ain't gonna lie. If he wouldn't have made the comments he had made, this dude's making some spinner baits that were off the freaking chain. They were different, unique, and he was selling the crap load of him until he started opening his stupid mouth. But he made some unique crap stuff. But I mean, it's like, what in the world? But you know, you really have to be unique. And I'm a marketing, you know, I was a graphic arts major in high school, and I was walking around looking at people's booths and looking at photos that don't fit, that they're stretched out this far when the picture is like smeared across a vinyl wrap or something. You really got to be, I ain't gonna say you have to be a Doomsday booth, because I think that was probably the coolest fucking booth I've ever seen when I first met Doomsday down in I think that was Birmingham is where I met them. And that was a cool ass booth. I mean, he dropped some dough on it, but it stood out. You came over there to look at the booth, and then you looked at the product, and then you bought some rods, and you bought some of the plastics that he had for sale. And I ain't gonna lie, at one time I had a bunch of those rods, and I loved their rods. And
their rods are pretty good. Yeah,
their rods are really freaking.
Don't hear much about them anymore, though.
They were located right here in Chatham, about an hour from me, and then they got swooped up and moved down to North Carolina, and I haven't heard a thing from them since they moved to North Carolina. So guys, we hope you enjoy your expo. We hope you enjoy expo season. Don't forget, we will be back next Monday. And Thomas says something. He's going to do a little wrap-up show, so you guys make sure you check on that after it's all done. Yeah. And I don't know what we're going to do the following week, because we're going to be all rolling out of here on Thursday morning heading to Tennessee for that. So we might do a rerun, because we're all going to be packing and rolling. But enjoy your expo season. If you haven't checked out thebasscast.com, I have a section on there that I put together about expos. I gave my opinion on the expos and what you can kind of expect from what I've seen. And we still have, like I said, the Tennessee show, and we still have the Augusta County show. I know there's another show up towards Fredericksburg. I think it's what it is. It's a show up there in Fredericksburg. It's kind of like a flea market type show. That's coming up. Make sure you support the little shows, guys, because you're going to find some unique stuff, some unique builders. It's kind of like, I saw this post the other day, and it was talking about music and how some of these artists got found. And it was talking about the guys who went to the bars at 9 o'clock at night, listened to this music. Next thing you know, they got lucky, they got found, and they made millions of dollars. And, you know, from an agent that found them. And it's the same with some of these expos. You're going to find something unique and different at each one that you attend. It might not be the biggest expo in the world, but it might be that one little guy in the corner said, let's work together, or let's make a deal, or let's make something happen, and I'll make you some free cool shit you're not going to find anywhere else, because he's trying to get his name out there and he wants to make a living. And so check out all the expos. But before we go, anybody got anything you want to end this bad boy on?
You know,
I thought it one day. I thought it would end, but I guess it wouldn't.
Wow.
I'm ready to go. I forgot to hit pause on the music. It's just been playing in the background, like
I can't.
Extremely quiet.
You know, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, check it out. We'll have walk-arounds of the shows. We'll have what I bought.
Sweet.
You know, as far as unboxings, we'll show you some of the stuff, some of the unique baits that I pick up and where I plan on using them throughout the year. And, you know, we've got a a good video out right now that talks about a unique bait, the Twitch bait, and it's not a jerk bait. It is a saltwater bait that has been adapted to freshwater. Primarily, again, being used, but starting to be used because of forward-facing sonar. But that is not the only way and reason you should pick some of them up.
There you go. Thomas?
I'm pumping out more content that's in under God's earth and heaven right now. Last year, I think we hit with 40 hours of content or something like that. No, it was 38. We're going to be blowing past that, especially with this expo coming up too, which again, this will air by that point. We have Augusta County. We have Dale City, I think, coming up. I'm going to probably be sleeping on someone's couch so I can experience this Tennessee vibe thing. That I got to see what that's all about. But we're getting ready. The season, guys, if I'm not mistaken, is a month away, right? For the big boys.
Yeah,
it's getting close.
Season kicks off in March, everybody. I mean, I know south of us in South Carolina, it's going to be a little bit earlier, but the season kicks off around our area in March, and we're really looking forward to getting back out on the road. Like Geek was talking about earlier, that saltwater bait that's been kind of, transformed into a bass bait. If you go look at all our clothing that we wear, AFCO like I have and all this other stuff, it wasn't meant for none of us. It was like deep sea fishing, ice fishing, and it got adapted. So, I mean, when people saw how much money you guys spend on bass fishing, they just said, come on over. We're going to make something for you too. Let's go. Let's go.
Oh, that's another. I've got a ice fishing lure. That has been big in the bass fishing world for that video will drop Thursday. So the Thursday after this or before this video drops. So that's a good one. People have talked about it here and there, but that's a big bait that has won some big money in Texas and locally.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. We love the conversation. We'll be seeing you guys on the road. Please don't be a stranger. Say hello. Come up and talk to us. I know Geek, you'll be signing autographs, shaking babies, and Thomas will be pumping out shows.
Chained to a desk.
No, he will not be chained to a desk because we will get
like
him
a NASCAR driver in his depends. He ain't getting up for nothing.
We're gonna pick him up and we're gonna make him move if we have to get somebody else out of the way. Guys, you have a great night. We will be right back with another great episode of Bass Cast Radio.
Bye.